Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something that has been stirring up a lot of conversation. AI in music. From AI generated songs on Spotify to the growing backlash against digital streaming in general, there's a lot to unpack. So let's talk about how the technology that was supposed to help artists might actually be erasing them. Spotify is the biggest music platform on the planet, and they've been quietly testing and promoting AI generated artists. These are not human musicians using AI as a tool to try out lyrical themes or to see if their chord progression makes sense or anything like that. These are completely artificial acts. There's no person behind the mic, there's no late night songwriting session, no lived emotion, no storytelling that's based on reality or anything else. It's just an algorithm. And guess what? They're super cheap. There's no royalties involved, no egos involved, there's no messy human problems. It's the perfect business model for Spotify, but a terrible cultural move for the world as a whole. Now the problem isn't just that AI can make music or sounds that people can interpret as music, is that the platforms like Spotify are incentivized to replace real artists like you or me with algorithms because it saves them money. And we'll get into that for a little bit in just a minute. Every AI song that gets streamed is one less paycheck for an actual human musician. And that means real artists like you or me. The ones who pour their hearts into their craft. We're now getting buried under an avalanche of synthetic content. It's not about music anymore, it's not about art, it's just about maintaining a level of engagement. Here's the deal, where you or I have merch stores and we have tours and we might link people from off of Spotify to our own websites or to our Instagrams or to our YouTube channel or wherever where we would like to promote our art. Spotify is totally opposed to that because they want people to spend as much time as humanly possible on their platform. Because to them, your art is nothing more than content that fills their platform. You're not creating music for your sake or for your audience's sake. You're creating music to make Daniel Ek just a little richer. I don't know, that doesn't quite sit right with me. Now here's the way that Spotify distributes cash flow is it's super complicated, but like the very, very short of it. There's detailed videos all over YouTube. If you're super interested in it, go seek them out. They don't pay out on the amount that you actually stream an artist. Like you could listen to, I don't know, Baroness for the next 2 years exclusively, and Baroness would still not get your $20 a month for the next 2 years. Because Spotify distributes on based on the percentage of overall streams, and that includes podcasts. That includes, I don't think it includes audiobooks at this point, but it includes everything else, basically. Meaning that because Beyonce and Jay-Z and Lil Peep and all these big brand artists, Taylor Swift, get a bigger percentage of the overall streaming amount, they also get a bigger percentage of the overall money amount. Not they get more money in absolute terms, they get more money in relative terms as well. So while you get, I don't know, 0.001% of all of the streams, this is a totally fictional number, do not quote me on this, they get 0.05% of all of the streams, let's say. So they just get more percentage-wise, not just absolute. And this is kind of bugging me. Because if I listen to nothing but underground stuff for the next 10 years, which is pretty much what I listen to, I want that money to go to the artists that I listen to and not fund some billionaire's next summer home. But that's what we're doing. And I think the entire content age sort of has been a bit of shift. If you go on YouTube and on TikTok and such, you can find a lot of videos that deal about like the death of the influencer and stuff like that, which is a thing, I guess, because people are realizing that renting access is just a weird concept. I think that's why we're seeing a resurgence of physical media. It's not just vinyls, it's cassettes, it's DVDs, it's even old film cameras. People are starting to realize something. When you own a digital library, or access to a digital library, you actually own nothing. Nothing of value or tangible at all. You're renting access from billion-dollar corporations who can take it away at any time. Especially if you're in like a niche, sort of avant-garde, sort of non-mainstream genre. Let's say you're into folk punk, and folk punk is a relatively political subgenre of folk and punk. And Spotify decides to go full-on MAGA right now, then they could just take off the entire subgenre, and you're stuck with nothing. Because the last 10 years you've been spending $20 a month, every month, to pay for Daniel X's new set of white teeth or something. I don't know how he spends his money, but he certainly doesn't spend it on me. I think that's sort of the thing, where the more we stream, we're not funding artists anymore. We're not paying for art that for the art that we're using. We're not supporting anybody except for people that are already mega uber rich. And I think we need to find a way out of this sort of messed up economy. Because if you buy a shirt from me for 25 euros right now, I just checked, if you wanted to give me the same amount of money in streaming royalties, you'd have to stream a singular song 11,500 times. 11,500 times is 33,000 minutes, let's say. 33,000 minutes is 550 hours. That is 22.9 entire days, no sleep, no nothing, just streaming that one song to get to the same amount of support that you're giving when you buy a single shirt. Does that seem fair? I don't think so. Most artists are asking for like 1 cent per stream, which I think is not too far off of maybe an achievable goal. And I say this because if the distribution model were to actually pay the artists that are being streamed by you and me from our money, then I think that some smaller artists could actually make a more or less a living off of their art, or at least subsidize their other income through their art, which is, I think, a more fair approach. So let's find a way out of this mess. How do we get out of this? I don't think that we'll find it online or in an app or in something that another billionaire describes as the hope for musicians. I think it's actually the way back. It's getting rid of the technology that we've built around all of this music distribution stuff. It's in real physical connection, in live shows and basement concerts, in DIY shows, in local open mics, in moments where you can feel the bass pounding against your chest, where the crowd is singing along, where music is a shared communal experience, where we get back to feeling an emotion. I think that's why I got into music, certainly, is because music is a way of transmitting emotion from here to you. Like getting stuff out of my head that I cannot express in words or otherwise across to someone else and say, this is something that can be felt. Maybe the way out of this isn't more tech, it's less. Maybe it's about relearning how to listen to like an entire album. Maybe it's about being present in the moment and sitting down with like a record, vinyl or CD or cassette or whatever the medium is, even if you download it off of Bandcamp, that's fine. Maybe it's in how we value what cannot be replicated by a machine. I sincerely think that in the near future there will be a subgenre of the hipster type that exclusively listens to organic music made by real humans, and mainstream pop music will be more or less replaced by algorithms. Because so the thing is this: if AI ends up making all of the music or all of the noises that we listen to, do we still feel something when we listen? And is that the same thing? Is it just about the listening experience? Is it about the noises? I don't think so. I think it's a weird conversation to have, and I think we're going about music a bit bass-ackwards. In the last couple of years, production has been getting slicker and slicker and more perfect and super. It doesn't have any sharp corners where you could cut yourself. That is to say, it is pointless. I am very proud of this joke. Thank you very much. Intend your puns, you cowards. There we go. All right. It's basically, it's been so smoothed over everything. Like especially in the metal world, every album now sounds like it's been coated in plastic, if for lack of a better term. There's no raw, visceral energy left anymore. And we call it heavy because there's a lot of bass in it and there's a lot of highs in it, and it pounds through the speakers. But I don't know, it doesn't give me the same vibe that listening to Earth Crisis does. Yeah, the production's crap, but at least it's honest. It's exactly what the guys can make when they play live. It's an actual reproduction of their music. And I get that maybe that is your artistic vision for your product, and that you personally want for your album to sound exactly like that. I get that, believe me. I just don't think that that is the approach for all of music, to sound super processed and super clean, for lack of a better term. I've been getting into bluegrass lately a lot. Like, yeah, that's due to Billy Strings, obviously. He's been getting all of us into bluegrass. But it's also due to, I picked up the mandolin in January, and mandolin is becoming my favorite instrument rather quickly. And I've fallen in love since with the genre and the sort of drive that the genre has, and the recording style, especially of bluegrass, because it is actually frowned upon to overdub instruments on top of each other, which is a super common practice in pop music and in rock music across the board. People are playing guitar first, or drums first, then some bass, then some guitars, and then the vocals, recording on separate takes. But the bluegrass world has sort of not picked up on that. They're still gathering around one mic, or making it at least sound like they're gathering around one mic, making the music sound like it's a communal experience, like you're actually in the room. And it's not super over processed. And even the very tip of the top, cream of the crop sort of artists are still kind of going for that low budget, lo-fi-ish sound. Like, granted, they are using $20,000 instruments, and they are using Neumann U87s and gear that will blow any budget straight out the window, but they're getting incredible results with it. It still sounds like music. There's flaws in recordings that they may be minor because all of them can play, but it's just an entirely different aesthetic that vibes entirely with me. It's a lot more punk than many of the recent punk releases are, in my eyes, or better ears. I can actually feel something through the music. It feels like the music actually wants me to feel something. Like it actually wants me to interact with it. And I don't get that from the super produced rock metal world these days as much. Don't get me wrong, I like a super nasty breakdown as much as the next guy, and I love modern guitar and bass sounds, but I cannot stand for replacing drums on every record. Please, people, your drummer is a musician as well. I know they may not be able to read notes or read, but they add to the song. Replacing them and getting rid of all of their feel and snapping it to the grid is not doing us a favor, I think. And this is exactly why AI can replace musicians, because it is super easy to replicate something pristine, to replicate something that is super nice. Ask any 3D artists out there what the hardest thing is in making stuff look real. It's not making it look perfect, it's making it look believably unperfect. And that is something that AI, at least right now, cannot reproduce accurately. And I think that is where at least my focus will be in trying to get like an own artistic vision for soundscapes again, to find a way that makes music that the music that I make sound interesting and organic and like it tells a story on its own, and not slam it with compression just because that's the way people do it these days. I don't know. What do you think? Leave it in the comments below. I think this is a super interesting debate, and it opens us up for an interesting debate on music production in general and on the state of music in general. Yeah, I don't know. Leave it in the comments below. Bye!